Atlantis. Was it a lost continent or the biggest made-up lesson in history? Here's the surprising part. The first person to tell the Atlantis story wasn't an explorer. It was Plato. The main source for Atlantis is Plato's two works, Timaeus and Critias. Plato says the story doesn't start with him. He says it comes from an older chain. The Athenian statesman Solon heard it in Egypt from priests, from very old records. And then the story was passed down through generations. According to Plato, Atlantis was a huge island in the ocean, beyond the Pillars of Hercules. Outside the passage, many people connect with Gibraltar. He describes it as so large that it was as big as Libya and Asia together. And it wasn't just one island. He describes Atlantis as a power that ruled nearby islands and some other lands too. Then the story grows bigger. Atlantis launches campaigns toward Europe and Asia, and Plato places an extremely ancient Athens against it. In the story, Athens resists and stops the invasion. So Atlantis is not only a lost city, it's also a story about power, expansion, and pride. And then comes the most famous line. There are great earthquakes and floods, and in one single day and night, Atlantis sinks into the sea. Plato even says that after this, the area becomes hard to pass because of mud and shallow water. In Critias, Plato adds even more world building. He tells the story of Poseidon and Clito, and the island divided among 10 sons and 10 regions. The eldest is named Atlas, and Plato says the name Atlantis comes from him. The capital is described like a legend, rings of land and water, bridges and canals, like an ancient engineering plan. Plato's most vivid picture of Atlantis is in Critias. The city starts with a sacred hill in the center, and then it's built in concentric rings. One ring of land, one ring of water, land again, water again. Bridges, passages, and controlled entrances connect the rings. Because canals bring water inward, ships can travel deep into the city. So Atlantis feels like both a fortress and a harbor city. He also describes a great temple in the center, dedicated to Poseidon. Plato says the buildings looked shining and magnificent. He even mentions a very valuable material called orichalcum, like a metal that catches light on walls and decorations. In his story, Atlantis is not only powerful, it's also dazzling. And away from the capital, Atlantis looks machine-like in how organized it is. A wide plain, neat farmland, and a plan divided by ditches and canals. Plato seems to show that a civilization's power is not only in its army, but also in its infrastructure and organization. Plato also describes Atlantis as extremely rich. Minerals, bright buildings, and again, that precious orichalcum. And one more strange detail. He even says there were many elephants on the island. So was Atlantis real? Many researchers say it may be Plato's moral and political allegory. Power corrupts, pride destroys. But others say it could be an echo of a real disaster, like the Santorini Thera eruption in the Aegean. One thing is certain. For thousands of years, Atlantis has asked people the same question. What really brings a civilization down? The sea or pride? If you want, in the next video, we can break down the most popular theories that try to trace Atlantis, one by one.